Hello and welcome to Miss Nyx's Go Home video. She is a puppy. She is a Doberman and she stayed with us for a 2-week board and train with a focus on obedience. So that first thing was a sit, and I just thought it was funny because she danced and then sat. And now she's doing some touch commands, which is basically just touching her nose to the palm of my hand. This is very useful for when she gets distracted or when you're on a walk and there's a distraction around you. Kind of helps focus her attention back on you if you can get her to do that touch command. Super easy, super simple, and that's what it's meant to be. Then she does a couple downs. And she's a little excited, so she gets a little jumpy. That's okay. She ended in a down, so she got her treat. There's a sit. So when I'm tossing treats out, I call it a reset cookie. So what I'm doing is basically getting her moving again so that she doesn't just get stuck in the same spot or just stuck offering a bunch of sits or offering a bunch of downs, because they definitely get stuck in just offering whatever behavior they think that you want. So I toss a reset cookie to kind of get them moving. They get to chase it. They get to take a little break for a second, and then they come back towards us and we can practice whatever motion we're doing again, like sit or down. So here's some luring, just putting the treat in front of her nose and then getting her to walk by my side. She's really very good at this, even though she doesn't have much body awareness. And you can get her to sit by lifting the cookie above her nose, and then you can verbally ask her to down if you'd like to in that position. I try to work on this because dogs get really used to sitting and downing right in front of you. But say when you're on a walk, you don't need them to circle around in front of you and then offer that behavior. So this is her place command. You just gesture towards her place bed and you say the word place. You can change the name of it if you'd like to. Just start gesturing to where you want them to go and name it, whatever you'd like to name it. So the place command is an implied stay. So when I tell her to get up on it, that means that she should stay up on it until I tell her her release word, which is free. And she's really very good at this too. This is something that puppies catch on to pretty quickly. Of course, as I say that, she steps off. So as soon as her foot hits the ground, I say no, and I remind her that she's on her place bed. And she saw a piece of food there, which was my fault. So I guide her by the collar back to the place bed. I remind her what she was doing. I say place. And she goes, oh, okay, I was on my place bed. But that cookie on the floor, that was totally my fault. I do not blame her for getting up and going towards it. So I don't ask them to sit or down on the place bed. When they do offer that behavior, I tend to reward it as well, either with extra food or with telling them they can come off by giving them that free command. Because I do like it when they, show signs of calmness or relaxation on the bed. That's ultimately what we're going for. So here we're trying another place command because the first one didn't go so hot. It was still good, but she stepped one paw off that one time and then broke the command for a treat that next time. So I'm pretending that I'm not looking at her to see if she'll get off if I'm quote unquote not looking at her, not paying attention. I walk around, I add some distance, I add some duration, a little bit of distractions. I go into the living room. And she did a good job, so I go back and I reward her on the bed for her hard work. It's hard for this one to stay still for an extended period of time. So then I add some distractions, which is a toy dropping. And she does very well, so I go back and I reward her for that. Then I drop food on the ground, which is a very tempting and very difficult thing to ignore, especially for a puppy that has a short attention span. So she tried to go for it. I said no, I said place. I stood in front of her, between her and the food. She kind of got the memo, so I reward her for not going for the food off of the place bed. I pick up all the little bits off the floor. And I'm going to do it again to see if she learned anything from that first time. So this time I don't need to step between her and the food. She didn't make a move towards it. So I actually reward her with a higher value food on the bed so that she feels like she's winning and not, missing out on the food that's on the floor. So you can see I took a few steps away and she realized I did that and tried to take the opportunity. But as soon as I said no and I kind of stepped towards her, she went right back onto her place. So she knows where she's supposed to be. So you can start working with, distance, duration, distractions, stuff like that. Just do it at her pace so that she's successful. And she knows that I'm going to come give her more food if she ignores that food. She's such a smart cookie. I like them to be able to wait while I pick up the food too, because I don't want them to think that by me going, oh, okay, time to pick up the food, test is over, they think that they can break place. So I like to wait until after I'm done cleaning everything up to release them. And here I have to add a little bit of movement for that free command, or I guess that release word. It's not really a command, just to kind of help her get off the bed because she wasn't super sure, because she got a couple no's during that session. So she just wanted to make sure by me being excited, that she was allowed to come off the bed. And now she's staying on the bed because that's where she gets rewarded most frequently and most easily. Here I am adding some duration and distance to a down command. So I did tell her down, and then I gave her a treat, and then I told her stay. And I put my palm towards her as kind of a visual cue for her to stay. And I always make sure to put the food right on the ground, right in front of her, so she knows that the food is coming to her. She never has to meet me halfway. And you saw her crawl a little bit there. That's okay. She stayed down. I'm not too picky on crawling for her right now. And then I release her and I give her some stretches for being a good girl. Here we're working on going into the crate and staying calm and quiet. She got much better throughout this during her stay. She used to whine quite a bit, but as long as there wasn't so much activity going on outside of the crate right in front of her, she was pretty calm. And I go back on occasion and I reward her, and then this time I open the door and she has to wait for me to say the word free to come out of her kennel. And then here she's still questioning if she should free, because generally if she stays in the kennel, she gets more food. So it's much easier to just stay in the kennel. That's kind of how I train kennel, is to get them to really like being in there. So if they need a little help coming out, that's just how it is. So you'll see she's not super good at reading where I'm pointing. Dobermans are just a little bit doofy like that. So I just get a little bit closer with my hand so that she can kind of more so see where I am actually pointing. So these are those reset cookies that I was talking about, just to kind of get her, away from the crate, because if I take her right out and then put her right back in, she might not know what's actually happening or how to follow my hand or something like that. This is waiting patiently for a bowl of water to be put down, which she loves her water. I didn't work on this a whole lot, but as you saw when she went towards it, I just took it away from her and then only put it down on the ground when she was nice and calm and not darting towards it.
Good girl.
These are some door manners. You can ask verbally for a sit,
Good girl.
and then I free her through the door.
Nope.
I also did teach her some leash pressure upwards into a sit, so she understands that if you put some pressure upwards on the leash, she knows that her butt's supposed to go down, and then that turns off the pressure on the leash. So I did that because she just gets a little distracted sometimes, and it really helped in communicating with her, you know, the little bit of pressure on that leash.
Thank you.
And you'll see that a little bit later in the video. I demonstrate that. So Nyx only learned some loose leash walking, but she did very good at it. She does have a really bad habit of walking right in front of me and tripping me up. So a way to combat that is to just keep walking forward. If she cuts in front of you, don't stop. Definitely don't treat her. Treat her where you want her to be. So I always treat her on my side when she's walking next to me and never in front of me. So then hopefully she'll go, oh, well, maybe I should just stay in this one spot. And then I don't have to move so much to get my food.
Good girl. Yes.
And she checks in continuously, which I absolutely love. So every time she gives me eye contact or checks in or is in the correct spot, like a heel position, which I didn't really train, but she offers it quite a bit because I feed right there, I give her a piece of food. So every time she gives eye contact.
Good. Yes, good girl.
And while she's a puppy, definitely keep doing this, but as she gets older and she gets better on the leash, you don't have to reward for every time she checks in with you. So I do typically let the dog, especially puppies, go out to the side of me or a little bit in front of me or a little bit behind me to smell and potty and do whatever they'd like, so as long as the leash does not go tight. If the leash were to go tight, I would stop walking. Sometimes they need just a little bit of leash pressure towards me, and then once they come towards me, I give them a treat.
Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl.
She really does pretty good. Really just likes looking at the things around her, smelling,
Yes, good girl.
walking in front of me.
Sit. Good
Here are
girl.
some commands outside. I help her by using my hand signals
Yes,
that
good
I got her used to while she was with me, because doing commands outside can be harder than doing them inside. But she did not need a hand signal for the down. She did that verbally. And she's quite attentive, but she still has her moments, as most puppies do.
Sit. Nope. Next. Sit.
So here I'm asking for a sit verbally. I'm not giving her that
Nope.
hand gesture, and she's having some trouble because she's offering a down every single time. So I completely ignore the behavior that she gave me. I get up and keep walking. I try it again to see if she'll give me the correct behavior so that I can reward her.
Good sit.
And then I help her out to get her to do that correct behavior. And this led me to kind of show you how the leash pressure upwards works for the sit. So you'll see here, I ask her for a sit, she lays down. I give her some leash pressure upwards so she goes back into the sit. So you'll see I give that leash pressure upwards. It's very light pressure, just enough so that she can feel it, and it's very mildly uncomfortable. And this urges the dog to put their butt down and their head up to relieve that pressure, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So as soon as her butt hits the ground, you'll see I release that pressure on the leash. And then I give her a treat for doing the right thing. And generally I pair the word sit with this so that she starts to associate that, hey, the word sit and that leash pressure both mean the same thing. They mean that your butt needs to hit the ground and your head comes up, and then you get a treat for it. I taught this to her, but I did not teach it to Hades. He did not need it. He sits pretty well on command and has quite good attentiveness. However, Nyx does not, so this will help in the moments that she's staring at something else or, just can't do the commands or is too distracted. or excited to go outside in her case. So here we are. I'm going to do her nails. And this is just so you can kind of see how she does. Really, honestly, from the first day, she did not care about me doing her nails at all. She just probably was happy to be getting cuddled, I guess. But she's really a good girl. So you'll see I do the front ones, and she's very calm. This is how I typically hold puppies for nail trims. I put my legs on either side of them and kind of hold them snug so that they can't move around because puppies are very wiggly. And I just kind of matter of fact do their nails, and then, you know, once they're done, I let them free and I give them treats or praise or pets or whatever they want. So then I flip her around. It's a little awkward. She thinks it's a little awkward, but that's okay. And then I do one foot at a time. And she mostly just lays there. There's a little bit of wiggling because it's an awkward position. Don't blame her for that. But she really does very well. And you'll see that I make sure not to let go of her foot even when she wiggles a little bit, because I don't want her to learn that by wiggling or, you know, acting crazy, she gets to be free or not get her nails done. So here she is for her last bath. This was done the day of her go home so that she smelled nice and clean for you. And I just took some clips from here and there so you could see how she does with different parts of the bath. The first bath she had, she definitely was not a fan. But I do my baths just like I do my nails, very matter of fact. I typically don't feed them during the process unless they need it. So at first I kind of did. I gave her a couple treats here and there when she was calm. But then by the end of it, I could just do the bath. She even let me wash her face. And just by acting like it's matter of fact, you're kind of telling the dog, hey, let's just get through this. Let's get it done. And then we can go play or have treats or do whatever you want afterwards, you know. Let's just get this done. And I try to be on the dog's level too, so they know that, hey, I'm here with you, you know. Here's me washing her face. She did very, very good for that. I make sure to praise them while, you know, I'm doing the uncomfortable things. And she really was such a good girl. Oh my goodness, she loves learning. So thank you so much for trusting me with her, and please bring her back to me sometime. I would love to see her.